I second the motion to hear all the callers waiting on hold. No one else wants to back it up? Really?
I had my hand raised to make a comment. Being the only committee member that was at all 4 town hall meetings, I agree that we need to listen to the callers, because I think this is the first time and the first avenue where those that have been in favor of the name change have felt comfortable enough to speak up, and I would really like to hear them out.
Thank you.
Chair Mesa, you have a motion and a second on the floor, so you do need to get consensus from your committee.
So this is a consensus to hear out all the callers. Committee, please put your hands up if you are in favor of this motion. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It looks like they want to hear all the callers.
7,
Finally,
8.
Harrison. I'm getting mad.
I'm
That's
sorry, this is point of order. We don't need those comments. I would like you to refrain from making those comments. We are here to take a vote. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that would like to hear all of the public comments. So we will move forward with public comments, and please, again, refrain from the commentary.
So what are we waiting for?
Names and mascots. I urge you to listen to the cries of those that are currently being affected by this name. Not only to those who have no ties.
Hold on, please. The timer hasn't been started.
Erica,
And only.
Can you hold, please?
Erica, can you hear me? Can you restart? I apologize. We were muted and they didn't start the timer. So we're gonna start you off again. Go right ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hello, committee. I urge you to act and meet the community demands by removing racist names and mascots. I urge you to listen to the cries of those that are currently being affected by these names and mascots. Not to those who have ties to it, no ties other to, sorry, not to those who have no ties to it other than it being a minor inconvenience and only care about the monetary cost. I acknowledge that this is unceded Yokis land. I urge you to push for true history and true healing. I urge you to stop this perpetual cycle of lies and pay homage to those who are truly worth honoring. Yes, let's move forward in truth and in kindness. We have so much to gain with this name change and only money to lose. Thank you.
Our next caller is Janine Kosi, educator and Fresno substitute teacher for Central Unified. Hi, Janine, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to address them. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you loud and clear. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Good evening. My name is Janine Nkosi. I'm a longtime educator in Fresno. I currently teach at Fresno State, but for many years I was a substitute teacher and blessed to teach students in Central Unified School District. I have 2 nieces and a nephew who attended Central Unified Schools, and my nephew's children will attend Central Unified Schools in the future. I'm calling in tonight to support the courageous students, parents, teachers, and committee members who are leading Central Unified toward a path of acknowledgement and healing. As many of you are aware, Fresno State is undergoing a process right now to rename our library because it's the right thing to do. I'm proud of our university's leadership and grateful to the courageous students, staff, and professors who are leading this effort. When my students and I learned about racist place names and the Indigenous community's effort to rename S Valley, we met community leader Roman Raintree. He shared many powerful lessons with us and invited us to take action. One thing he said was, we're not here to blame anyone for the past. What we're saying is that it's important to acknowledge the truth as an important step in the healing process. And after we're faced with the truth, to hold ourselves accountable in the present and to create change. These words resonated deeply with us that night, and I hope they resonate with everyone here this evening. To the committee, I urge you to listen to the youth who are leading us toward a path of acknowledging and toward an opportunity of healing. Please do the
Wrap
right
up your
thing.
statement.
Protest to rename these schools. Stand with the students. Thank you so much.
Our next caller is Josefa Vega, community member. Hi, Josefa. You're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we don't get any feedback and we can hear you. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Thank you. I demand the committee and board act, rename the schools to honor Black and Indigenous people, while also incorporating curriculum for students to understand why the removal of these names and mascots is so important, and how leaving them as they are is not progress and not at all learning from the past, but rather ignoring facts and erasing experiences of Black, Indigenous, and people of color. The formation of the committee was intended to study why the names are harmful, which was a frivolous process to thwart change. While findings were made, even though they were already brought to the district's attention months before, this information wasn't readily available to folks in the district, and community was largely left out. The board could have acted on this when it was first brought to their attention, like we've seen throughout Fresno, by addressing names like Henry Madden, Faulkner, and the Warrior mascot. Central Unified needs to take action and value their concerned students and community members. Thank you.
Our next caller is Elaine Long, Central alum. Hi, Elaine, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to address them. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for volunteering all your time for this, to deal with this matter. This committee was tasked by the Central Unified Board to gather feedback regarding changing the names of 7 schools and 2 mascots. The results of the survey are in, and the results overwhelmingly show and reflect that the majority of the people that participated in this survey want all 7 schools and the 2 mascots to remain the same and no names changed. That is what this committee should recommend to the board. That is what the community has expressed to this committee by the results of this survey. Any money that would have been spent to change any names would be better spent on educating the students of Central Unified to help improve their math and reading scores in hopes of raising the school scores in the state to above the 50th percentile instead of below the 50th percentile. After all, the students there are there to learn. And again, I want to thank the committee for their time and to listen to the results of the people that have taken this survey. Thank you very much.
Our next caller is Harman Singh, Central alum. Hi, you're on with the board. You have 1:30 to make your comments. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Okay, good evening, Central Unified School District. I've had the opportunity to attend a couple of these meetings now, but over the past couple of weeks, I've taken the time to go and engage with our local Central Unified youth at local parks and community events and ask them about their knowledge about the school renaming process, just because I was kind of curious about how involved the youth are. Out of about 40 different middle school and high school youth who attended Central Unified, out of the folks I spoke to, only 3 of them knew about the survey. After explaining the purpose and reasoning of the survey, every single one of those 40 students agreed that schools' names should be changed. I do not believe that anyone's, including myself, anyone's voice is more important than our youth. Additionally, I keep hearing about the money being wasted on this. That is not how our school board's budget works. Money cannot be reallocated to different pots of funding, so this is very much a worthy endeavor to take on. So additionally, please correct me if I'm wrong. According to the last school renaming committee meeting, it only cost $32,000 to change the name of previous elementary school. I would like to refer back to Mr. Solis's comment at our last public meeting, renaming committee meeting, that this is not an all or nothing process. No one group should be dominating the voices of our youth and diverse central community. With that said, I would like to suggest that the board proceed with recommending a name change for Polk Elementary School. Since time permits, I would also like to advise the renaming committee that California's task force to study and develop reparations for African Americans issued a report. From my readings and understanding of it, we should most definitely support with changing the names of our elementary schools so we aren't upholding a legacy white supremacy. Thank you.
Our next caller is Prefer Car Student. Hello, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comments. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Good evening, Central Unified Renaming Committee. My name is Preet Kaur. I'm currently a student at Central High School. I'm calling in tonight because my friends told me that this renaming process was happening, but I had no idea of this earlier. I'd like to ask you to change the name of Polk Elementary School because their school should not be named after racist slave owners, even if they are our former presidents. All of my peers at school want to say the same thing, and honestly, some of us are just upset that we were not told about this process or this survey. Thank you for listening to me tonight.
I'm waiting on the name of the next caller. Give me a moment here. All right, our next callers are Crystal Cabrera, parent, Phoenix Suarez, student, and Malachi Suarez, student. Hello, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comments. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Hi, my name is Crystal Cabrera. I'm a parent. I have 2 students in Central Unified. I'm also a resident of this area. I'm in favor of changing the name of Polk Elementary and of all the problematic names and mascots in Central Unified. I'm disgusted by the comments that we are quote unquote erasing history or that it costs too much. This is just thinly veiled racism. If you notice, no actual reasons are provided as to why these people deserve to have schools named after them. Really what the callers want to say is they don't want to change it because they like that the schools are named after these racist white men. They want it to stay oppressive. They want our students of color to stay oppressed. I'm also disgusted by the fact that Gina Sellers and Monica Meza were allowed to participate on this committee. It's a joke for Central Unified to have allowed them to participate, not only to participate, but to lead it. And if you notice, neither one of them voted in favor of hearing the public comments. That's disgusting. And I move that both of them be expelled from the committee immediately. If they don't want to hear what the public has to say, they should not be on this committee. That's the whole point of the committee, is to listen to what the public has to say. You know, I want to reiterate that I'm embarrassed as a parent of Central Unified students that this is what's having to go on. The board needs to do what's right. The survey results, no matter what they are in the end, the board still needs to do what's right. They need to do the right thing and they need to change.
Please wrap up your comment.
Elementary and all the problematic schools. I want to pass the phone to my son who wants to speak next, my son Phoenix Suarez, and I would ask that you allot him 1 minute and 30 seconds as well. And after him, my other son, Malachi Suarez, would like to speak. So here's Phoenix.
Can I have my time?
Yes, go ahead. 1:30. Go right ahead.
I am Phoenix Suarez, and you need to change your racist school names and mascots and Central Unified. Malachi made his proposal a year ago, and you guys have done nothing to make the changes. You should be ashamed of yourselves by letting adults bully my brother. I don't want to be called a pioneer at school because pioneers killed Native Americans and stole land. They want to destroy people like me. Would you have Jewish kids celebrating Nazis at school? That's not very different from celebrating pioneers. Now kids are calling me a liar for saying that Polk was a racist slave owner. Now kids are telling me to go to another school. That makes me now want to go to school because people are bullying me for telling the truth. Central lets people bully students for telling the truth. Disgusting.
All right, clock is set for 1:30. Go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
This is Malachi Suarez. I want my minute and 30 seconds.
The 1:30 is in the process. Can we restart it, Jason? Okay, go right ahead.
My name is Malachi Suarez. The committee was created because my proposal to change racist school names and mascots in the district. It is ridiculous how long it is taking for the board to vote on this. My petition has 3 times as many signatures as how many people participated in the community survey. Do not say that my signatures don't count because you don't know where they came from, and because we can say the same thing about your survey. It was open to anyone, and you don't know where they came from. Almost 40% of people in your survey feel the same way. feel that the name of my school should change. How much more do you need? Don't say the change costs too much because you chose to name it after an American Hitler. That's disgusting and discouraging. Don't tell me about your tradition either. Would you tell a slave that you couldn't end slavery because it's a tradition for generations of people that didn't want to change? You should be ashamed. Representation matters.
Our next caller is Alexandra Alvarado. They are a community organizer and part of the Central community. Hi, Alexandra, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comments. Please turn down your listening device if you're streaming on YouTube. That way we don't get any feedback and we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30 and your time starts now.
Thank you. Good evening, Central Unified Renaming Committee. My name is Alexandra. I have friends and family who are part of the Central Unified School District along with my nephews. I'm calling in tonight to urge you to change the name of Polk, McKinley, and Madison during a time when students and young people more than ever need safe spaces to learn and thrive. We need to listen and acknowledge their voices. A safe place includes many things, including an active anti-racist place of learning. The students are asking the committee and greater school district to make a name change, removing the name of persons who have had a racist history. That is it. This will be a great start to acknowledging the needs and demands of students of color, which represent a majority of residents in this district. Thank you.
Our next caller is Anthony Utterback, community member. Hi, Anthony, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Please turn down your listening device if you're streaming on YouTube so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30 and your time starts now. Anthony, are you there? Can you hear us? Anthony? How would you like me to proceed with Anthony here? Would we like Anthony to call back? I don't know if he's having any phone issues.
Can we take the next caller and then see if he's able to participate after the next caller?
Yeah, Anthony, if you can hear us, please call back. We cannot hear you. Our next caller is Hashid Kasama, parent and Central alum. Hello, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Please turn down any listening devices. That way we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hashid Kasama, and I am a parent, a father, and also a product of Central Unified School District. I attended Teague Elementary School in Highway City throughout K through 6, El Capitan Middle School for 7th and 8th grade, and even Central High School West Campus during my freshman year. I am deeply concerned about the committee acting as gatekeepers, not being transparent about this meeting. Bullying is a serious issue, and keeping the name of a school after a racist slave owner is very problematic for several reasons. Other people have brought up the issue of testing and reading, math, and arithmetic scores, and students need schools that reflect positive figures named after their respective cultures to boost their self-esteem and self-worth so that they can feel empowered to achieve those results. The dignified thing to do is to listen to the majority of your community members who are taxpayers and change the name of the school. Anyone who opposes the name change stands with apartheid. The district is majority people of color. Board members can be recalled for not complying with the demands of the majority of the community, and we will not hesitate to kick off our campaigns to do so. Do the right thing, change the name. We support Malachi and stand behind your efforts and commend you. Thank you.
Our next caller is Lance Cruz, community member. Hi, Lance, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Please make sure to turn down any listening device so that we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Thank you. Hopefully we see some leadership on this and not acquiescence to some poorly disseminated survey. Those are commonly commandeered by reactionaries in the community. We have a community and a country that still think the terms manifest destiny and settler colonialism are positive epithets to early American history. We see the leftovers of growing up, going to school, being told manifest destiny. It's such a pretty sounding word, right? That it's our destiny. It's literally part of why we're here, and we wouldn't be here without it. So we should be proud of our manifest destiny and the fact that we're a settler colonial project. Unfortunately, we see all of that every day in our structural, serial, intentional discrimination built in and throughout all parts of the American system. I wasn't sure if I was going to call in, but I heard a caller earlier say, it's the past and things weren't the best in the past and we should learn from the past. She's right. We should learn from the past. One of the things we need to learn from the past is settler colonialism is evil. Manifest destiny is evil. And the only way, even though Polk has an impressive resume and some of the larger things he did, he was a manifest destiny guy. He won his election because of manifest destiny.
Please wrap up your statement.
Okay, and I think you get my point. Manifest destiny and settler colonialism need to be unlearned, and the way to start that is to unname these schools. Thank
you. Our next caller is Chris Schneider, Central parent and resident. Hi, Chris, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comments. Please turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Good evening. My name is Chris Schneider. All four of my children graduated from Central High School, and I have numerous nieces, nephews, great nieces and nephews that have attended or are currently attending Central Unified Schools. I'm calling to support the student-led effort to change the name of the school. The student articulated very well the reasons that the name should be changed, so there's no purpose in my repeating those. but as a taxpayer in the district who is very close to Polk Elementary and passes it on a daily basis, I have always voted in support of school bond issues so the district can improve. While I always get mailings about bond issues, the district school made no attempt to inform me and the other residents of my household and my neighbors of the district undertaking this process. I believe had you done so, that many, many, many more people would have expressed support for the change. The flawed survey methodology that you've used is meaningless. Those results are meaningless, and not taking action should not rest on meaningless results. I'm also very concerned about the attempts to limit public input up through the very conduct of this meeting. We serve as a poor example
Please wrap
of
up your
democracy for our
statement.
students. Thank you.
Our next caller is Navdeep Kaur, alum. Hello, you have, you're on with the committee. You have a minute 30 to make your comments. Please turn down your listening device if you're listening to us on YouTube. That way we don't get any feedback and we can hear you clearly. Again, a minute 30 and your time starts now.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Navdeep and I am a CUSC alumnus. I'm calling in tonight to urge you to change the name of Polk Elementary because as so many folks before me mentioned, Central Unified is a predominantly Black and Brown community, and yet we don't see that reflected in school names or mascots. Someone mentioned that to not erase their history, but I like to ask them and you to reflect on whose history it is and what the history is. Why is there so much pride in history that has direct connections with enslaving and dehumanizing people? Why so much pride in history that stems from white supremacy? We keep seeing mass shootings that's usually by young white men, and then we wonder where this violence stems from. Letting white supremacy pass, even in the most micro levels, gives fuel to racism. Also, my cousins currently attend Central Unified, and they told me that they and their friends never received any survey regarding the name change. So this committee needs to hold itself accountable and actually send the survey to the entire student body and make a decision based on what the students want and feel before you all actually make the decision. And then someone also mentioned about the money. The money is already there. It's already paid for. There's money set aside, so it's not like it's going to cost us anymore. The other thing is someone also mentioned that, this is our history. Why erase it? We should learn from it. Yes, we should, and that's what critical race theory is for. Yet, when it comes to that, you're protesting against that. You don't want that in school. So what is it that you exactly want? So
Wrap up your comment.
my last sentence would be, this is time to make a decision, whether you make it now or not.
Your time is up.
Eventually, it's going to happen. So.
The next caller is Pedro Navarro Cruz. His nephews go to Central. Hi, Pedro, you're on with the committee. You have a minute 30 to make your comments. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, a minute 30, and your time starts now.
Thank you. Good evening, committee. My name is Pedro Navarro Cruz. Thank you all for your time and the opportunity to speak. I'm a Fresno parent and resident with nephews attending Central Unified Schools. I am calling to support the renaming of Polk Elementary because of Polk's legacy of theft, exclusion, and exploitation on people of color. In a school district of 85% students of color, it's quite clear that the school district is continuing the legacy of Polk's exclusion with the way that this process has been handled. However, you as a committee have the power to begin writing this in a better direction. The verdict is clear on the evil person that Polk was. Let's move in a direction where families of students of color would be in at the Central Unified School District board meetings. This can start by renaming the name of the school, Polk Elementary. We are not erasing history by renaming the name of the school. We are accepting the wrongs, the present, and moving to a future where all of our children can thrive. Do not base your decision on a process that was incompetent and intentionally exclusive. Do what is right just because it's right. I wanted to thank you all for allowing me to speak, but above all, thank Malachi for leading this good fight. Si se puede.
Our next caller is Rajdeep Tour, student. Hello, you're on with the committee. You have a minute 30 to make your comment. Please turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, a minute 30 and your time starts now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Rajdeep Kaur. I'm currently a student near Central High School, West Campus previously, and I'm here to support the name change of the schools. What the schools are is institutional racism. They're based off of racism. They continue to support this racism. And obviously, it's history, but we have to learn from this history and change it. We're currently in the present. We're not in the history. We're in the present. So we got to move on. We got to make a future without racism because everybody is treated equal. We can't keep this manifest destiny going. Also, the survey I keep hearing about, I never heard of this survey. I asked my friends and classmates. Nobody heard of this survey. This survey is completely biased. Only people that do not want the name change are filling the survey out. So obviously, they're going to use that for them. But if the survey was never properly distributed, that's not accurate. It's not factual. It's not representing the population. It's representing a small portion of the population. Most of the population want this change. We do not want racism in our systems. In matter of fact, the whole government is based off racism to some extent, and we're just slowly trying to get rid of it, which is great. And this is just one small step that we need to take. We need to get rid of this institutional racism, and we got to learn from the past and change it. My cousin told me that at a previous meeting, they said something about these turban heads need to go back to their country. I personally have a turban. I felt so disrespected there. Why do I have to go back? I'm a citizen here. My parents work hard. They came with nothing, and they've worked their way up. So I want this change. I don't want my kids growing up in a racist environment. Everybody's based equal inside your skin. We're just nothing. I want this change.
Wrap up your comment.
Thank you.
Our next comment is from Anthony Utterback, community member. Hi, Anthony, you're on with the committee. You have a minute 30. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, a minute 30, and your time starts now.
Hi, everyone. This is Anthony Utterback. I am a community member in the Fresno area. First, I want to thank the board and everyone who organized this meeting for creating the space to share and for hearing out the people. I'd like to express my support for Malachi, his family, and the work they're doing to change the James K. Polk school. They're really bringing positive change to the community, to better represent the Black and Brown families of, the Fresno area and Central Unified School District. And really, I want to call out the unhealthy behavior that people have been inflicting on this family and other supporters of the name change. We can't bully our youth and we can't bully our families. That's toxic and an unhealthy way to go about this work. And so I'm hoping to address that and really next time this happens, there's a healthier way of doing this because our youth don't deserve that. Our students don't deserve that. And so Malachi is a strong young man and what he's doing is really powerful. And, he represents the Native community and what they're doing. And so I fully support Malachi and his campaign to change the name. Thank you.
Our next caller is Roman Raintree. They're a parent. Hi, Roman, you're on with the committee. You have a minute 30 to make your comments. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, a minute 30, and your time starts now.
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm calling in support of the renaming of Polk Elementary. I stand with Malachi Suarez, and in a gist, public funding for public education is for the community, and the community is supposed to be of welcoming of everybody. Our parks, our government buildings, they're all welcoming of everybody, despite your creed, socioeconomic background, the color of your skin. All human beings are welcome, and as well as all of our institutions of higher learning, as in this case, Polk Elementary. And it's startling and very, very disturbing when Gina Sellers and Monica Meza, who have admitted to tearing down Mr. Suarez's posters, are appointed and allowed to be on the committee that is going to interpret the solicited responses from the community and report back. It just seems like it's biased. It seems like this is a dog show. We're just going through it for formality, and the judgment's already been made. Please reconsider renaming Polk Elementary. Thank you.
Our next person is Peter Beal, district employee. Hi, Peter, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Please make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Thank you. I am a district employee, and first, I am very proud of Malachi Suarez and his campaign. I find his treatment by the head of this committee and the committee at large to be unacceptable. An apology is required for him. This issue is not over. As Central students of many different school sites have expressed their feelings about not being fully and adequately represented in this process, not given enough opportunity to participate, etc. Personally, I have been unnerved and disappointed at the unequal treatment and deference and overall treatment afforded a minority of parents in this district operating out of strictly personal agendas. James K. Polk, it should be reminded, owned 40 slaves while president of these United States that weren't very united at that time, I should say. Aggressive war against Mexico was committed and stolen, half their land being stolen. Finally, participation in genocide of the Native American people by that same president. This process is not over, and I thank Malachi Suarez for inspiring me to look into this more fully personally. Thank you very, very much. I yield the rest of my time.
Our next caller is Genevieve Verk, student. Hello, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Please make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Okay.
Go ahead and start.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Burke. I am a junior at Central East High School, and I would like to express my complete support for the name changing of Polk Elementary. And I'm sorry.
Genevieve, go ahead. Make sure to turn down your listening device if you might be getting feedback. Jason, can we pause on the time? You might be getting feedback, and that's what you might be hearing in the background. So go ahead and start whenever, or continue whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. I just muted it. My name is Genevieve. I am a junior at Central East High School, and I would like to express my support for the changing of James Polk Elementary.
All right, our next caller is Dorothy Cabrera, grandmother. Hi, Dorothy, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Make sure to turn down your listening device so we don't get any feedback and we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Hi, my name is Dorothy Cabrera, and I'm Malachi Suarez's grandmother. He has been working on this project over a year now, and I am in support of the school name change. We need important role models who want important change to teach our children what is right and wrong. And the man who has the name Polk is just lying to the children. So we need to change that name. And it's time for the board members now to make that change and stop lying to our children and give them the important role model they deserve. Listen, again, Malachi is a little boy who's 11 years old, and he has been working very hard on this project. And he has a lot of votes from the community. So it's time, change it, do something about it. Don't just talk amongst each other. Get in gear and change it. It's time. There's been other schools that have been changed because of this. Remember, he is an important role model, and you are lying to our children by teaching them this. They need an important role model to move forward and succeed in their lives and get rid of this hate. That's what he did. He did hate. Change now. Change it. Don't go to bed and say, this is okay. This is not okay. You as adults know. It's time for you to change. I'm not going to say it over and over again. Change it.
Please wrap up your statement.
Our next caller is Jenny French, retired teacher, alum. Hi, Jenny, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Please turn down your listening device so we can hear you loud and clear. Again, 1:30, and your time starts now.
Thank you. I have 4 generations of my family who've gone through the Central School District. I spent 33 years teaching at Central High School. I am against changing the name of any of the schools or mascots. You're taking away the alumni status of hundreds of thousands of students who've gone through these 7 schools with these mascots. Who would I be an alumni of if you change Houghton Kearney? Who would somebody be an alumni of if you change Teague? If you change any of the schools, you are nullifying the alumni status of all of the students who've gone through these schools. I agree with looking at these criteria for naming schools for all of our future schools. But to change the past isn't going to do anything for the students. I have many, many students who are successful teachers, doctors, lawyers, orthodontists that have gone through our school system and become very successful despite the name of the school. I do not want to see any schools or mascot changed. Look at this criteria for future schools. And I want to thank the committee for their time and their effort that they've spent on this.
Next, we have Ganeve Burke. We had some technical difficulties when she called, so she's calling back to give us her full comment. Hi, Ganeve, you're on with the committee. Please make sure to turn down the volume all the way down if you're listening on YouTube. That way you don't hear feedback. You have 1:30 and your time starts now.
Yes, thank you so much. I apologize for whatever was happening with the audio before. I was muted, but I'm just glad I'm being able to speak now. I'd like to express that I do completely support the changing of James Polk Elementary name because that has an extremely racist history and is extremely discriminatory and insensitive to the Black and African American communities that we have extensive populations of in this school. But I would also like to express my concerns about elementary school names such as Roosevelt. And I know Roosevelt is not inherently known as a evil being in our history, but Franklin Roosevelt was known as an active imperialist and was known to believe in manifest destiny and to control Native American populations. He also believed in enslaving South American countries such as Cuba and Mexico. So I'd also like to recommend that we change the Roosevelt Elementary name to maybe something like Eleanor Roosevelt, who was a teacher and an educator in her time. And she also was part of many progressive movements during this time to end discrimination in the United States. And I think she would be a much more accurate representation and name for our community and represent our diverse community and especially our educators. And I'd also just like to mention that the racist history that we are trying to uphold is very discriminatory and insensitive towards the history that the inclusive history that we try to teach in our very classes. Thank you.
We have another caller. Give me a moment here and I'll let you guys know who that is. Our next caller is Dana Suarez. Their family member goes to Central. Hello, you're on with the committee. You have 1:30 to make your comment. Please make sure to turn down your listening device so we can hear you clearly. Again, 1:30 and your time starts now.
Hi, I'm calling in support of changing the name of Polk Elementary School. I think that the board should see through supporting their students when they are asked to complete community service projects. And this is to show their commitment to their students when they're asked to do what is assigned. So I think this is following through with Malachi Suarez's school assignment from, I believe, almost 2 years ago. So he's just committing to seeing his project through, and hopefully the board will support that as well. Thank you.
All right, that concludes public comment.
I should have just called.
I have a parent who's been trying to call in. She got disconnected. She tried calling back, got disconnected. I have her right here and she wants to talk. She's a Black mother. She has several kids in this district, and you administrators, you make a ton of money.
Point of order.
No. You need to stop with that because they make a lot of money off this.
I'm sorry, you are shouting. This is your warning.
What are you warning him about? Based on which Robert's rules of
Mr.
order
Suarez,
those warnings?
we're talking about public comment and that there were no callers at that time.
He's saying something about a parent trying to get on, and you're
Mr.
calling order to
Suarez,
that.
Mr. Suarez.
I think you're out of order with your calling to order. And what rules are you? What are the Roberts rules are you calling us on that you're calling?
Your interruption. We're trying to move the meeting along so we can get to the committee work. Public comment has ended. There were no.
Considering that I am a Black woman with Black children in this community, and it. Wouldn't you say? My children go to, what are you teaching my children?
I'm sorry, we don't have a timer going for the public comment any longer. We have to move the committee meeting along. So the next committee meeting item is letter G, is to approve the meeting minutes from May 17th. I'd like the committee to take a minute to review those minutes. Nabil, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I had a quick question about the minutes. It says that I just want to clarify for some of those community members that expressed concern. In our minutes, it says the staff did due diligence to make sure the survey was distributed. Could we please go over just briefly how the survey was distributed and if it was at all distributed towards students? Thank you.
So this is Jason Horseman. I can speak to the student survey. After the board meeting, and excuse me, I don't have the dates in front of me. The Tuesday board meeting, there was a public comment saying that we should have more student input. And so the next morning, the student survey was sent out to all students in 5th through 12th grade. Via both student email and through our student portal, which is called Clever. As students log into their Chromebooks, they use this portal to get to their various school classroom, their ELA and math curriculum. There's a pop-up in that system that then alerted students that they were allowed to participate in that survey with a hyperlink to the survey.
Prior to that, the survey was also distributed via Parent Square to our entire Central Unified School District. It was also distributed through social media, and it was promoted on our website page under our news section, which is right on the front page.
Okay, Mr. Suarez, your hand is up.
Okay, first I want to say first that this survey was distributed in a ragtag manner in which some students found out about it on the day of, and the survey itself had some confusing information along with not very thorough information about why these names are being considered changed. Since I was muted, I made a motion to allow that parent. I'm speaking right now, so don't interrupt me.
But you're out of order.
On you.
You are out of. I'm calling.
Okay, you are out of order.
I am not out of order.
Okay, I was speaking about. I made a motion to allow a parent to speak, and it was seconded. And I don't understand why we're being muted. And also, I think that needs to be addressed. And if you don't want to hear from the public,
is this something
then you
that
should
you would like
resign.
to put in the minutes from the last meeting that we had? We were discussing
You
the minutes.
barreled through when people were still trying to speak, and the motion was made
You're
before you
speaking
brought
out
it
of
up after you
order.
muted
I'm
us.
calling point of order, Mr. Suarez.
Okay, you're out of order.
We're on the line
No,
item
there are
for
still
the
people
meeting
that are
minutes.
trying. There are still people that are trying to speak from the community.
The public comment.
And you cut it off unjustly and unnecessarily.
Chair Mesa,
Yes.
may I speak? What I would suggest is you are in the minutes right now. Please work through the minutes and get action on that. And then if you can go back to the motion that was made and address that, finish the one that you're on and then go back to that one.
Great, thank you. So for the minutes, would we like to make those changes to add in how the survey was given from the last meeting and add that into the minutes? And Nabil, that was what you had pointed out, correct?
Correct. Thank you, Chairwoman. I'd like to amend the minutes to include or amend so that there would be specifics on how the survey was distributed and to which community members, be they residents, whether they be homeowners versus apartment dwellers versus students and adults. Thank you. I feel like that more information will be helpful toward the community.
Okay, can we have those minutes amended, and then how would we approve those since this is our last meeting? Ms. Davis.
I think Anita's got you. She was about to talk.
Anita. Thank you, Anita.
We need to take a moment because it was seconded that this parent gets to speak. Go ahead, mamas.
I'm sorry, we will get to that in a moment. We just want to wrap up the minutes since we're in the middle of the minutes.
Oh, they
Anita, what
blocked
were you
me
going
again.
to say?
No, you need to cut that out. You know what? It was seconded.
Anita, Michael, I'm sorry, but Anita is trying to speak.
You're not. You're not sorry.
We're trying to move back to that, and I will get back to that in a moment.
Oh, you're
But
not.
At this time, I would like to hear what Anita has to say.
I think I need a bigger audience. I think I need to go to channel 47, 30, 26, 24.
You're unmuted. You can go ahead, mamas.
Anita.
Yes, the minutes will be adjusted based on what Mr. Nabil stated. And then they will then be presented to, well, I'll email them to you and the committee as well with the adjustments. And then they'll be signed off at that time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we have a motion that was in the chat, and it was to allow someone to speak. The mother.
Can you first, Monica, finish your motion and second for your minutes with that change and take it consensus for that, and then I know you're eager to get to that next.
Okay, so making a motion to have those minutes adopted, or I'm sorry, revised.
There and rip that little boy.
Can I get a second on that motion?
Wall like you're somebody. He matters. He's the minority.
I want to speak on that. I have a question. Nabil made a email thread that was violating the Brown Act, and he said that he emailed people about distributing the survey. I want to know why he was emailing people and why he was taking it upon himself to do that. And also, this survey was open to anybody who had access to the link. So that means that they're not necessarily from Central Unified. So if the survey is going to be considered in this decision, I motion that Malachi's over 3,300 signatures that he has collected on his change.org petition also be considered in our findings, because it's the same type of scenario where we don't know where these people who filled out the survey came from. And that's what we were told about his petition. So if they're going to count this, then they should also count his petition, and I motion for it to be pointed out in the findings.
Are we motioning the minutes, Mr. Suarez?
You have a motion by you and a second by Mr. Solis. Please move forward on that.
Yes, can I get a raise of hands for the minutes, to amend the minutes? Vote please with your reaction button. Anita, are we good?
I'm not seeing, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, they moved around. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 hands up. That passes.
Thank you. Okay, moving back to the last motion that I had spotted in the chat is to allow someone to speak. Suarez made the motion, Michael seconded it. I would like to get from the rest of the committee a vote on that motion.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have.
Okay, can we get the timer back up so we can allow for that one public comment?
Okay, mamas. So this is a mother of several children in this district. She's a Black mother, and she has enough trauma. Every Black person in this country has enough trauma. They don't need to be traumatized more.
Can you please put her on the line so we can start the timer?
You go ahead, mamas.
like I was saying, my kids are Black children that go to that school. All I want you guys to think about what you guys are teaching my children. You guys are teaching our children that political racism is okay. And it was okay for them, for their ancestors to be done like they were done. And that in a moment of time, if somebody wanted to take us back into slaves, that it's good. It could be done. You know what I mean? And that's okay. That's how you feel. That's what you're teaching my children, that my children don't matter, that my children's feelings don't count, that Malachi's feelings don't count. He may not, I don't know what minority he is, but he is feeling some type of way about the name of that school. How do my kids go to that school and be proud of going to that school and who they are? When they put his name across their chest, a person that was okay with separating children and killing everything, just the whole distinct point of everything of slavery. My kid, you want them to wear that across their chest and be proud? Miss Mesa, what if you were Black and the shoe was on the other foot and your children went to this school? And maybe it was your son's project that was on that window. And a mother walked up and snatched your son's project down because why? He told the truth. How would you feel? What would you teach your children? What would you tell your Black baby about that specific scenario right there? I just want to know how you guys see fit to leave this name sitting on this school.
Public comment.
I just want to let you guys know that I'm in support of the name change. And that I don't even know if I even want my children to go and be at that school.
We are out of time at this
No,
time.
you need to hear.
About my children. That they weren't no better than
Everybody gets a minute and a half. You're out of time. Thank you for your public comment.
It's crazy to me that none of you guys feel like something's wrong. Our children something today, and you're mad. I went and used everything that.
They locked it up. Go ahead, keep going.
Miss, can I get your first and last name, please?
Believe, and stand up for what he believed in. Make that change, because if it wasn't for all.
Okay, go ahead, go on to the next item, Monica.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. So moving on to the next item. So we already know what our scope of the committee work is. We're at the last one where we're discussing, we discussed stakeholder input at the last meeting. This meeting, we are to develop the recommendation based on the analysis and the community input that we have received, to make a recommendation to the board and present it to the board at the end of this month. I believe that meeting is June 28th. So knowing we went over the survey the last time, I do see some hands up. Annette?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I did go to the community input meeting at LCAP. And one thing that was brought up and I wanted to address today was Liddell and Teague schools, that there was no controversy that was brought up. And I wanted to know if anything has been brought up since our last meeting on those two schools. And if not, to recommend that we remove those two schools from our list.
I don't believe at our last meeting there was anything brought up about those schools, just what was in the survey.
Okay, so being that there is no controversy that's been found attached to those two school names, can we do a motion to remove those two schools from the list?
We would need a second on that motion.
Hello, Madam Chair.
You have lots of hands up on that.
Yes.
But Chair, you just need to let Mr. Horstman know who to call on.
I believe Sharice was next.
Yes, I just wanted to bring up to the group that the feedback from the community was to help us align our criteria. So after reviewing the information and from the public, does anybody feel that we need to make changes or adjustments to the criteria that we had established back in April, March?
I'm going to go in order.
Okay, because I know we can't make a second, but if I would like to be able to second at least the criteria, if we don't have any changes to make on it based on public opinion and output, to at least keep that the same so that we can move forward with that part of it, the data analysis part.
Can you state your motion again?
No, I was just saying that if we don't have any additional information to add to the criteria based on public feedback and the data we received in terms of the survey sent out, that I'd like to make a motion, if we haven't already, to at least solidify the criteria since there's nothing more to add to it, so that we can make that part of our referral process, referral to the board.
Chair Mesa? Chair Mesa?
Yes.
We currently have a motion on the floor to remove Teagan Liddell. We would need to complete that in order to continue with Ms. Butler's motion.
Okay. Does anybody second that motion to remove Teagan Liddell?
I second the motion. That's Melissa.
Okay.
I would like to speak
Can you
on
take
that.
a vote?
I would like to speak.
Mr.
I
Suarez.
would, because you guys move real fast and you use these rules against us to get things done in a slippery way. So I saw in the survey that several people said that school names should not be named after someone just because they donated money. So I would call that a controversy. And second, I do want to clarify that cost is not a criteria for our consideration on name changes right now. And I want to point out that I think Ketty Davis and Richard Solis intentionally left that out from the community, that cost is not part of this decision right now. I think it needs to be cleared up and very clear that cost is not part of what makes a school name appropriate or not.
Cost wasn't part of the criteria that we developed.
Correct.
Can we continue this discussion after we've completed the vote on the motion that was made regarding Teagan Liddell? We have a second on the floor, and I'd like to take a vote so we can go ahead and move on to the
Before
other.
you do, I want to counter that with disregarding that, because there is some controversy regarding those names. And you guys are disregarding information from the survey if you're going to try to say that there wasn't.
Can we please take a vote? Everybody, please use
You're
your
disregarding what I
reaction.
said.
Go ahead and vote on this motion.
I do not have enough hands up for the motion to pass. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I'm only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8. That motion passes to remove Liddell and Teague. But also who, Chair
Okay,
Mesa,
I motion to
Mr.
disregard.
Flores, please stop interrupting in front of people. You're violating the norms.
Excuse me. I did not hear who did the second. I know Miss Dilly did the first motion, but who was the second?
I was.
Melissa
Oh,
Minor.
Melissa. Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I want to comment that is going against what people put on the survey, and this committee is showing that they're going against what the community is stated on the survey. There was some controversy.
Not really, Mr. Suarez, only because if you look at just the survey and what we've talked about, and if you had attended the committee town hall meetings, nobody had a problem with Liddell or Teague's name.
Okay, so
And the majority of people,
you're
excuse me,
disregarding that
excuse me,
people
you're
on the
interrupting me.
survey-
I'm going to call point of order. First of all, I need you to direct me when you're ready to talk. We're going to move on to the next person who has their hand up. I believe that's Josh. Did you want to speak to this? Oh, I'm just seeing hands up. So if you don't mean to have your hand up, please put it down. Okay, there are no hands up. And that motion was made and it was carried. And I believe there was another motion on, someone motioned something else. Mr. Solis.
I believe Ms. Butler made a motion to accept the criteria. I'll second that.
Let's take a vote on that. That is to accept the criteria that we have previously placed out.
I want to clarify that.
We're in the middle of voting, Mr. Suarez.
I want a clarification on the vote, and I can ask for that.
Go ahead.
I want to be clear that cost is going to be explicitly stated as not part of the criteria. Because if you consider cost in the survey, a majority of the people that are against the changes of the names cited cost as a reason. And if that's not one of the criteria, then that doesn't really count.
Mr. Solis.
If the member was paying attention to the motion that was made, the motion was made to accept the current criteria. The point that he's bringing up is mute because the current criteria clearly does not include that. So he's arguing against his own point.
Shall we continue with the vote since there is a motion on the table on the floor and there has been seconded? Can we please take a vote at this time? Hands up, please.
I'm sorry, I just wanted clarification.
We do have the 8.
Okay.
At this time, please lower your hand so I know who is on here to speak. Thank you. We, at this time, have a survey. We do want to survey the committee. Jason has a survey that is ready to go. This survey does require you to answer all of the questions. It is, I believe, the very same survey that was sent out to all of the schools, or has some of those questions. Jason, are you ready with that survey?
Sure. Yeah, just to clarify the 9 questions that were included in the community survey, the 9 schools or mascots are just on the Zoom poll for the committee members. Does everyone see that?
Explain for them how to do that?
Sure. So hopefully it's popped up on your screen. As you scroll through, you'll see there's 1 through 9. Each one is a yes or no vote. When everybody's done, I'll end the poll, and we should then all as a group be able to see the results together.
And obviously, we just took out Teague and Tilly, or Liddell, I'm sorry, of this. So to submit this, I believe you have to answer all of them, but just know that it's not gonna, obviously they're not in it.
I'm on my phone and I don't see the survey.
I don't see the survey either.
I don't see it either.
Is there a way to resend that, Jason, so it pops up on the screen?
I apologize. It may be the version of Zoom that they're on. Right now, I have 5 of 17 people participating have voted. What we may have to do is take a verbal vote for those that don't have the survey on their screen.
I want a motion that we can see how each person on the committee voted. I think we should, our vote should be attached to our name. I motion for that. I think the community should see how people are voting in regards to this, the Central Unified having racist school names and mascots, and where people stand on this. I think this should not be an anonymous poll. I motion for
Mr.
this.
Suarez,
I motion for this to be something that's made public and attached to your name, so please don't cut me off. A verbal vote if you can't get anybody on. A roll call vote.
Monica, you've got 4
We
hands
have
up.
a second for that.
I motion to have a roll call vote on each of these items so the community members can see where each person, including Ketty Davis and the rest of the people from the district, I want everybody to vote so people can see what they really stand for.
It looks like you have Michael Kurnisoff put his thumb up for a second on that. So you'll need to get consensus. You've got a motion on the floor to do this one by one, other than the 2 and the criteria already done. And you've got a second for that. Anita, second was Michael Kurnisoff.
I will take a vote at this time. Put your hands up if you're in favor of that motion.
I am only seeing 4 hands up. We do not have a majority.
Okay.
Madam Chair, before the rest of us vote, can I make a short comment?
Yes.
Right. So I believe that there are some problems with the survey that was presented to the public that should have been addressed. Just unfortunately, haven't already. One, there is no way to verify your address on that survey if you're taking it. Meaning that not only could people from outside the central community vote on it, but also it would be very easy to AstroTurf to create a bot and skew the results unfairly one direction. One thing I have noticed was on Facebook. I noticed the Fresno High School Facebook group had people encouraging people from outside Central Unified to fill out the survey and be opposed to renaming James K. Polk. I think I tried submitting evidence of this to Gilbert when I couldn't attend a meeting, but it was not allowed. So that's why I'm bringing up now, because I have seen people organizing from outside Central Unified to skew the results. And I think regardless of how any of us feel on this issue, it should be up to the Central Unified community, not those from outside. That's why I think we need more time to tweak this poll and make sure that people's voices are being heard. We heard many students today who were concerned about this, who feel unwelcome. And our students' mental health, in light of everything that's happening, really should be a top concern for us as community members, as parents, as board members. Yeah, that is what I wanted to say. I think we really should have more time on this. I don't think the poll as is gives us a good view of how the community feels about this. especially because students are saying that they did not know about this or did not have time.
Mr. Solis.
I think I might be able to help. If you go back to the approved criteria and you look at the last bullet points, those are the items that I feel the committee needs to focus on. And do any of these schools submitted fit the criteria? If you look at the criteria that has already been approved by the committee, basically there's only 2 schools that stand out. Houghton Kearney, because of Mr. Kearney's racial views, and James Polk. With that, I would make a motion that those 2 schools would be passed on to the school board for consideration. Also, under the mascot, I would also make a consideration to keep the name Madison Warriors as the mascot, but change the logo.
Okay, I disagree with you, Richard.
Point of order, everybody's taking turns. I need
You're
to call on
speaking
those.
over me. I call
am not
order on
speaking
you.
over you. I'm
You're
calling
speaking
point of
over me.
order as
You're
chair.
speaking over me.
This is
I
your
call
final
order on
warning,
you.
Mr. Suarez.
Okay,
I will
I'm
have to ask you
speaking.
to leave.
I am speaking.
Mr. Suarez, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
You're out of
Another
order.
interruption. Okay, we'll go as orders of hands. So Nabil, if you're done, I'd like you to remove your hand just so I can get an accurate assessment of who can speak next, just so we can keep this going. Mr. Solis did make a motion here, and that is for Houghton Kearney and Polk to stay on the list to go to the board to make that decision if their names should be changed. Is that correct, Mr. Solis? Am I getting that right?
That is correct, but the third part of it is that the mascot for Madison also be included, just the logo. They can still stay Warriors.
Okay, so that is the motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Please use your reaction button. Nabil seconds that. Thank you. Okay, so we have a second on the floor. I'd like to take a vote. Please utilize your raise hand button.
We have the 8 for the motion to move forward.
Okay. So that is a motion to move those schools forward for the board to make the recommendation to change them. And we have finalized the criteria. Any other comments regarding what we voted on? Melissa, go ahead.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. I was thinking, I guess earlier today, that I'd kind of like to add to future school names when we think about when we think about naming a school, that we stay away from controversial things, which would be political figures, religious figures, or activists. And I know some people will be upset about that, but I think those are 3 hot topics where you're always going to come up with controversy.
Religious figures.
Political figures. So that would be any president, because even some of our modern presidents, there's controversy over them. So political figures, religious figures, and activists.
Oh, she's gonna say.
So are we?
Oh, it's
I'm
already.
sorry. Is this Michael? Is this Michael? I'm going to ask that if you want to speak, put your hand up so I can call on you to speak And you
I
can.
make a
address
motion
me
to bring
directly.
Gabriel Suarez back into the meeting.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna
Nobody
ask.
seconded it. It was his son that sparked this whole thing. Does anybody want to back up Malachi? Does anybody want a second bringing Gabriel back? Wow, crickets.
Can I second the motion?
You go ahead, mamas.
Thank you. So we are, I believe, concluding this meeting, except for the fact that Melissa, you're talking about the criteria that we made the motion on to finalize. Mr. Solis.
Yes, I was talking about that. I wasn't able to get anything in when we were trying to vote on that one before. I just think if we're going to name him after people, we should name them. I mean, this is my personal feeling, obviously, after people that were part of the central community that would bring about change. Like we have Janessa Ramirez, who was tragically killed as a bystander in a drive-by. That people would ask, why are we naming this after a student? And you could say it was a tragedy. Or we just lost a student this year, Robert Pickett at Rio Vista. And these are names that could truly bring about modern day issues and awareness. And if we're going to name it after a person, I don't even think we should be naming it after anybody that can cause any kind of controversy. It should be somebody who was part of our community, and there was either they implemented some great program for Central, or we lost them tragically way too young to something, and it would bring about awareness.
Mr. Solis.
Madam Chair, I'd like to go ahead and motion that the criteria be forwarded to the board for future naming of schools, as well as, and also a second recommendation that the board recommends, and it's not binding on any future board. I'll let you know that now, but it sort of gives a direction that no future board considers the names of any of the existing schools for the next 15 years. With that, I'd like to say, I'd like to thank the members of the board for taking their time to come here. You took time away from your families to be here. I learned a lot sitting on this board from the community. I met some very interesting people. Both sides were heard. I've already spoke once about my experience on boards. When people tend to attack the process, that means they've run out of ammunition for their opposing view. To tell you the truth, I can see both sides of this. And I'm going to be taking a position that I'm for the kids and I'm for the community. And because of that, I was looking for a win-win situation. The people that oppose the name changing of the schools will notice that a lot of schools were taken off the list. That's a win for them. The ones that want a change of the names, 2 of them will be considered by the board. That's a win for them. In reality of life, you're not going to win everything 100%, especially when you're dealing with the views of a lot of people. All we can do is try to find a middle ground that everybody can stand on and have balance. And I hope that's what this committee has done today. So with that, I'll stand on my 2 motions. I don't know if there's a second or not.
I second. And so I have seconded that motion. Can we take a vote? Please put your hand up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have the 8. I have the 8 to, yeah, I have the 8 to move forward.
Great, thank you. If everybody, we're done voting, lower your hands and raise your hands if you have anything more to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to, I think there was a couple of people that were questioning the criteria. Melissa, one of them. It is in the packet from the March 1st meeting towards the back. So you can see the criteria there. I believe that it does cover what you were requesting. So just go ahead and look there. That's all.
All right. I don't know if it actually listed those 3 specific things. That's why I brought it up. But Mr. Solis said there were 2 motions, and I cannot remember what both motions were. So I was just wondering if we could repeat what the second motion was.
Anita, can you do that?
I'm sorry. I was trying to watch everyone that I did not catch Mr. Solis's motion. I know the first one was to motion.
My first motion was to send the approved criteria from the committee to the board as criteria for naming new schools. The next motion was that we put a time limit on it with the understanding, and I want everybody in the community to understand and the committee to understand, it's not binding on future boards, but we put a time limit that this item cannot come up before the board for 15 years to change the name of any existing school.
Thank you, Mr. Solis.
Thank you.
So we have Mr. Solis motioning, Ms. Meza second. So we just need a vote.
You already had your vote of 8, Anita.
Yeah, we had 8.
Yeah, there was just a clarification to reread the motion, so.
Okay. Any other concerns or questions anyone would like to address? I think that wraps up our work. Yes, Ms. Davis.
I just want to clarify then, so the next step would be at the board meeting on June 28th that you'll bring forward those motions and we'll provide all of the input that was collected, all of the survey, all of the comments made at each of these meetings and minutes to provide that on behalf of this committee to the board. Chair Mesa, is that the plan that you will
Yes,
do?
I'm going to ask Joshua Sellers and Nabil to join me at the next meeting, board meeting on June 28th to hand this over to the board. Thank you, Nabil. Mr. Solis.
Also, I would just like to ensure if we have the student's petition that was stated earlier, that is also submitted to the board.
We'll make sure we add that.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to, at this time, make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Oh, Gina, I'm sorry. Did you put your hand up now to speak? Oh, go ahead before I adjourn.
Right. I also wanted to ask if we are able to forward information to the board as well before their decision is made for some outside websites that have been published that are also naming some of the committee members by name in a negative light with slander. So I would like that to also be presented to the board as well before they make their determination.
And so you're asking if we can, that information can be sent by email and whatnot to the board. I believe
just wanting permission to send the information to the board so they can review it.
Katie, is that something that's being allowed?
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll provide everything that was discussed in a part of the committee work. And if there is anything additional as members of the community, you have access to submit those as well to the board and speak at board meetings or submit those by email. What we'll do is we'll take everything that was the work of this group and make sure it's also represented there.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do you have a second? And vote, please.
We have the votes for the motion to pass.
Okay, great. Meeting
Okay.
adjourned. Thank you.
Jason, can you take us off YouTube? Thank you, everyone.